Hey. I didn't really know what game to choose for this, so I decided to choose some like shitty rage game that I'm probably gonna fail at. I wanted to make like kind of a more serious video. I don't really know, like I don't have a talking point or anything here. I'm just kind of dicking around and talking. But I wanted to share something a little bit more personal, something more that I see in society. I don't know, just something less funny, something more serious. This is just gonna be like a one-off thing. I doubt I'm gonna make another video of this tone. Basically, I just want to talk about I wanted to talk about kind of a serious topic that I think a lot of people don't really acknowledge, and it is pretty privilege. It's a little term that I think gets thrown around a lot, but I think it's a term that is very much real, and I think it impacts day-to-day life more than people might think. You're probably thinking, why is this a personal topic? You know, am I like chopped or something? Am I mad at pretty people? Well, no. Well, kind of. Not mad at pretty people. I mean, I used to grow up not looking the best. In middle school, elementary school era, even halfway through my high school years, I didn't look good. I didn't take care of myself. I had the same haircut I had since I was like 6. You know, I went to Great Clips for my haircut. I bought cheap, shitty clothes at Walmart. I would skimp on showers, and I didn't look good, and I didn't really care at the time how people saw me. And I think it really just, made things that much worse for me, not caring how others saw me. People say, don't care about how people see you and how others judge you. But I've always kind of seen that as like empty advice, something that shouldn't actually be taken literally. Because if you think about it, nearly everything in the world has to do with how another person perceives you. Whether you get into a relationship with someone, whether you succeed or fail in an interview. I mean, even buying a house, buying a car, you could argue, has to do with who you are and just how others perceive you. It's how you make friends. It's pretty much every stage of life has to do with people perceiving you. Whether you like it or not, someone's going to be controlling an aspect of your life. And you not caring about other people and how they see you, I think is one of the worst advices I've ever heard. I think a good advice is don't let it get to you too much, but you should still care how people see you. You can't just go willy-nilly fucking walking into Walmart with your boxers on, thinking that no one's gonna care, thinking that it doesn't matter. But I also wouldn't overreact, You go out in public and, maybe you're not super well dressed. Maybe you're having a bad hair day. I can promise you no one cares. No one's stopping to think about those tiny little details. I think it's when you go overboard or like so terrible that you stand out like a sore thumb. I think that is when a line should be drawn. Anyways, besides that, I want to talk more about pretty privilege and how it kind of changed my perspective on things, how people view others, how I view others, and just kind of everything. In a way, it kind of shows how fucked the world is and how brutal society truly is, without trying to sound like an edgelord. Society is just, it's brutal, man. They'll rip you to shreds for no reason. Sometimes it's out of your control too. The big turning point for me was, I think it was mid-high school. Might have been sophomore year, maybe early junior year. I started really caring about how people saw me, and I basically had a huge glow-up phase. Completely different haircut, grew out my hair, started dressing nice, taking care of myself, shaving and washing my face. I started working out, playing sports, the whole 9 yards. And I noticed that people who didn't really like me, or people who thought I was annoying, or just anyone who didn't like me before suddenly wanted to be my friend. And I went from pretty much, I wasn't like a loser or anything, but I was pretty unpopular, had a small friend group and all that, to suddenly I'm really popular. And now, people want to be my friend. Now I know people. Now everyone knows me. And, in such short notice, I couldn't help but think, why? Why all of a sudden now? Is it because we got older? Is it because something? And I asked myself that question, but I pretty much already knew the answer. I was just kind of denying myself for a while, and it was just the fact that I looked better. And that's the sad truth. You look better, you get more friends. More people will want to hang out with you. Suddenly, weird things you are ridiculed for are interesting and give you depth. And I think that's one of the big things for me that I just personally did not like, is I had pretty niche interests, I was a fan of things that are arguably like kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say cringe, but they weren't popular and they weren't exactly like well received by everyone. I guess an example could be like Deltarune. Like no normal popular kid fucks with Deltarune. And it's so weird because suddenly my niche interests, which I was embarrassed to admit to anyone, something that I was made fun of for, something I just wanted to keep secret, were suddenly interesting. People thought it gave me depth. People thought it made me a more unique person. The type of deal where it's like, oh, you're not like other guys. You know, you do this and this. And it's like, yeah, I did that before, but no one really cared. And that's the sad truth. Your interests, your likes, dislikes, your personal secrets don't matter if you don't look good. Okay, well, that's not fully true. But you see my point. People are willing to accept more things, especially unpopular things, if you look good. Because if someone who looks good likes it, it must be amazing, right? It almost makes you wonder how our brains are wired to think that way. But it really just, I don't know. It makes me angry to think about. There's so many people with the same exact interests, the same exact personality, the same exact everything. And because they don't look as good, maybe their personality isn't as outgoing, people just don't care. Or it makes them even less popular, all because of stupid appearances. And sometimes it makes you question the people who are closest to you. I mean, myself, I question a lot of my friends, a lot of close friends, a lot of coworkers I get along with. Would they like me if I still didn't look good? Would they like the old me? And, you know, it's this kind of torn back and forth, much like I keep falling from this stupid concrete building, that your friends might be just fake. They only like you because you look good. Or do they? Well, you're never gonna know because you're never gonna look that bad again, right? The only way to know is to look bad again. But you've already become friends with them, so there's already a connection there. Would they have approached you before if you looked like you used to? Would they have talked to you? Would they have reciprocated any jokes or thought you were cool? It's hard to answer that question. You know, it might vary from friend to friend. Might be true for all friends, might be untrue for all friends. There's really no real way to There's no real way to know, like, if they fuck with you just because you look better than you used to. And I'd even say it makes you question, like, even your love life. If a girl likes you, or if you're in an active relationship, looks are always going to be your first impression of someone. There's no doubt about that. And I'd say your personality is what makes or breaks a long-term relationship. But in terms of approachability, you know, if you don't look that great, you're probably not going to get approached by people. And your chances of success when asking someone out is probably going to be smaller. So it begs the question, you know, if you look good and you used to look terrible and you have a girlfriend or a wife or just in a relationship, you start to wonder, like, would they still like me if I looked like the old me? And of course they'd say yes if you asked, but you don't really know that for sure. They could say, oh, well, I like you for you. And that might be true now, but off of those first impressions, well, who knows? You might have not met her. You might have not married her. Hell, you might have not even gotten the confidence to approach her if that's how it went. And I think transitioning from, you know, chopped to pretty decent looking really showed and like opened my eyes to that. Because there's plenty of people who, there's plenty of people who grew up always looking good, or people who grow up and still don't look great. Both sides are going to be oblivious to the other, and they're not going to realize many key points both of them are trying to make. Pretty people, of course, are going to say pretty privilege doesn't exist. Ugly people are going to say pretty privilege applies to everything. Personally, I think there's a healthy middle ground. I think there's surprisingly good and bad for both. And you think, well, what's the benefit to even looking ugly? And the big one for me is you're less approachable. You don't really get harassed by people as often, if that makes sense. Mainly online. Just, you know, like creepy DMs from people. If you don't look good, then you know, you're going to get less creepy DMs from weirdos online. When you look better, you know, you always have the chance that some weirdo is going to stalk you, either online or, God forbid, in real life. It's not just approachability, though. I feel like, and this might sound crazy, okay? Just bear with me here. I feel like uglier people have a higher chance of, like, getting hired for certain jobs than others. I know that sounds crazy. The general consensus has always been like, oh, pretty people usually succeed in job interviews more. And that might be true for white collar jobs, but I have a strong feeling that blue collar jobs are the opposite. I don't know how to prove it, but it's a gut feeling, you know? It's almost like a subconscious thing that like good looking people don't work hard or don't deserve to work as hard. I'm not sure. Point is, I have a feeling that it's just, I don't know, there's some subconscious psychological stuff going on there that I do not have the intelligence to explain properly. But I definitely feel like pretty privilege is a lot more prevalent than people might think. It's not just relationships, it's not just job interviews, it's not just that, it's literally every aspect of life. Your friends, your best friends, how people talk to you on the street, even acquaintances and coworkers. It really just impacts people way more than you might think. And I don't know, seeing it from both sides, it really just showed me how big of a difference there is. Is there a way to stop it? Probably not. You know, a lot of it, attraction is just a natural thing. You naturally look for features that are attractive in a person. The features don't have to be all appearance, and usually they're not all appearance, but they're definitely a deciding factor. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, what's the key takeaway point from this? Well, my key takeaway point is definitely don't assume everything in life has to do with pretty privilege, but recognize that it's real. And try not to be biased yourself with pretty privilege. Ask yourself, is this person funny because they look good, or are they funny because their jokes are actually funny? Does this person deserve the job just because they look good, or because they actually have a good resume? Is this person's interests actually interesting and give them depth, or am I just saying that because they look like they could be popular? Just so many things I feel like are purely decided or taken the wrong way due to someone's appearance. And you know, I hate it. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and have the moral high ground and say that, oh, I don't judge people based off appearance. We all subconsciously do, but I think it's the fact that a lot of us mistakenly do that more than we care to admit, or more than we even realize, is something that needs to be talked about. Anyways, that's my little TED talk. I might just go down the mountain at this point. Alright, that was my little serious video. See ya.